We welcome you to another live edition of The Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
It is week 2 of the NFL, Sports Box NFL Sunday pregame. Brian Nattar, Tony Quigley, Anthony Medio, Drew Trammell going wall-to-wall, wire-to-wire, all 15 games today and tomorrow with a look back at Thursday. We'll take you all around. Gentlemen, we are already in week 2, and it feels like last week was an interesting one. We have a lot to talk about as we go through. But the first topic, obviously, to talk about is the result from Thursday. As the Buffalo Bills pretty much go into Miami and wax the Dolphins 31-10. Josh Allen, not a great passing day, 13 of 19, $139, a touchdown, and then ran for only 2 rushes all game. Not very Josh Allen-like. James Cook did pretty much run it for him, 11 for 78, 2 touchdowns, and then also caught one. Tua had a not great passing day before he was left the game with another apparent concussion, which we'll talk about. Devon Achane had a very, very nice game, both through the air and on the ground. Tony, you were not here last week, so I will give you the floor first as I open up my Oreo-flavored Coke Zero. This is really good, by the way, and very addicting.
Oh, God.
Oreo-flavored Coke. That's one of the things that I didn't think we were going to talk about today was Oreo-flavored Coke Zero.
Really good.
I mean,
That's America. That's an America.
It is really good.
For you.
Breakfast of champions.
You are missing out.
That's America for you.
There you go. No, that's good. Listen, I mean, every time Tua takes the field and he leaves on a stretcher or in a prone position and does the crip fingers and everything like that, everybody yells that he should be retired and blah, blah, blah and everything like that. And eventually he's going to retire, but he's not going to retire because of that hit the other day. He's going to retire if he is medically told that he can never play football again. And that it would be the best case scenario for everybody involved. When you're looking at his contract, when you're looking at the cap, you're looking at all those factors involved. The only way this goes to a position where Tua does retire is if he's forced for retirement, because it's the best situation for everybody. Talking about his health, I don't watch these games to worry about the player's health. I don't like to see people get hurt at all or anything like that. But at the end of the day, every one of us sitting here would be trading places with him to go out there and throw 3-yard slants to Tyreek Hill. So it's a part of the game, So it was impressive. It was impressive. I mean, it cost a lot of people a lot of money. I mean, this game was screaming towards the over. Dudded out. Josh Allen dudded out. I mean, Achane made some money. James Cook looked good. But other than that, Tyreek Hill and his issues and, everything, it was just an interesting game with a lot to go on. I mean, finally with this game, happy to see a good Thursday night game in regards to the matchup, something that we want to see. So that was the favorable last 2 weeks. I forget who the Thursday matchup is this week, coming up next week, but it's probably they're probably going to feed us some nonsense again now. So
I'm going to look for you.
Be ready for it.
Well, I'll jump in real quick and I'll just say what I want to say. Everything Tony highlighted is pretty much the most part I agree with, other than the fact that the Miami Dolphins are the biggest idiots in the world, giving him a contract that they did. I would never give him a contract for more than 2 years. And the fact that they did this is knowing the risk and the outcomes of what could happen. I mean, let's talk about the hit real quick. He ran head first, and DeMar Hamlin didn't even he slowed down.
He tried to catch him.
Yeah, it wasn't even a hit, and he went down, and he went to the full this, and I'm like, dude, that's concerning. Like, the fact that one little forearm hit, you hit his chest, and then it was like a catch and release, and you're going down that quick. First of all, you should be sliding way before you're leading with your head. And the fact that you are now in this position is the reason why Miami was so hesitant to give you the money in the first place. But now they're so like Tony just said about their cap. This dude still gets. I think they came out a couple of days ago or yesterday, whatever it was, about how he gets 150 or 185 because he paid for the insurance.
Yeah.
So you still are. I don't know how contracts work like that, but I was reading somewhere where that still affects the cap in some way, shape, or form. So this is what I was talking about in the offseason on Game Winning Drive about giving these contracts to these quarterbacks so quick especially with Tua, with not only the hit and miss type of production and play that he has as a quarterback, because we all are in agreement, besides idiot Dolphin fans, that the reason why he got paid is because they traded for Tyreek Hill and they drafted Jalen Waddle. If it wasn't for those two guys, go look in the past. He was not a good quarterback. So you're in a situation now where you're so cat straddled that what do you do in this situation for Dolphins? You have such a talented roster on paper, but now you have a guy in Skylar Thompson who I am not a fan of, and you guys watch college way more than I do. I from what I've seen in training camp and this and that, there's so many other options that they could go at to go get somebody that at least can chuck it, like a Jameis Winston in Cleveland or a Joe Flacco. I believe he's in New York. There's so many things that you could do that are better equipped for this offense than a Skylar Thompson. But that's another topic for another day. Tua, my prayers out to him. He's a good dude, but I just you gotta think. I know he just announced today that he's playing, that he's not retiring. But it's just, dude, you got two little ones, bro. That's tough, bro. That's just I don't know if I could do it.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, you guys touched it all. This is bad for both. This is bad for both sides. The future of Miami, the future for Tua. It's bad for both sides, and it's unfortunate. He just made a bad decision on the field. You got to get down and slide there. He didn't, and this is the price you pay. Going forward, the Dolphins got to find something. Those backups are really valuable that you talked about, Drew. I mean, I can't see those teams getting rid of them, especially Jameis Winston in Cleveland. Flacco, his value as a backup. I mean, so it's going to be tough to find.
Bring back Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean, he's out there. So options like that is what you got right now.
You know what? I think, and Attar's going to love this point. You don't invest all that capital in wide receivers when you have a chandelier of a quarterback.
Now they have no value.
And then what you do is you don't ensure that investment in wide receivers by having a solid number two. So we're going to watch Skylar Thompson run around and try to do whatever he could do. And, we'll see how creative the wizard of Mike McDaniels, the weirdo he is.
I mean, he was running interesting plays, too.
That cat's a weird dude.
They were running all kinds of crazy shit. That guy's not going to be able to do that. I mean, that requires hand skill and movement. I mean, that's going to be tough to he's going to have to change the whole offense up.
And how many times are you going to, even in that game before we got hurt, Tua was playing absolutely dog crap.
Yeah, too much of that. It's too much of that.
Too much. It's way too much, Brian. And that's what I was going to put out a tweet, but before he got hurt, but I was like, dude, Brian Flores don't even need an own apology.
Window dressing like a mother. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
you got
a good running back there. I think you don't need to do all that. It's so unnecessary.
So, couple things. By the way, the week 3 Thursday night game is the Pats and the Jets.
Oh, fun.
Spot Track kind of, we summarize this, put it on the Sportsbox page on the 13th. It says, while full recovery is the only real focus here in response to questions regarding his contract, the deal includes $167 million guaranteed for injury, $43 million of which has been paid in 2024. If he's medically cleared to return to football but opts to retire, he will forego the remaining $124 million guaranteed, barring a custom settlement. If he's medically forced into retirement, he has a right to collect $124 million remaining. Okay.
Oh, the doctor.
I think they put that out on Friday. So I mean, that's been out there for a while, and
so
that's really the only option is to play.
Yeah. Or keep the doctors, or get the doctors in your pockets to make them make a decision.
This was always the risk with him, right? He was already 2 concussions deep before he signed that deal. If you're Miami, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You invested a high pick in this player. You've seen a level of success by how many people guarantee. I don't view it that way, but that's fine. How many people say success? You made the playoffs, right? So you were building something around him. At least you thought that you were, and he was a big piece of it, even though you did spend a lot of assets and draft picks and money to surround him. And I get a lot of flack for saying quarterbacks shouldn't run. And yes, that he did this to himself. He didn't slide, but this is exactly what can happen. When a quarterback runs, who's not really meant to be a runner, this is the sort of thing that can happen. And now your franchise is completely flipped upside down. Whereas they have like 75 different running backs on that team. Somebody else could have run the football. If they get Willis McGahee, it's okay. They'll be fine. Now the season's very much in question. Really, their future is very much in question because you really don't know what's going to come.
Brian, you're missing the point on that. I know you hate running backs. I'm not really going to get into that. It's within the play. It was a scramble. It wasn't like they're actually running him like Cam did
I understand.
or something like
I'm
that.
with you on that.
I mean, it's a part of the game. I mean, every quarterback in the NFL to play today is going to run at some point in some way, like some bullshit scramble. Hopefully, they don't look as awkward and as bad as like they never slid before, they never took a hit before. Like, so you can't really make that comparison. I don't.
Just a general statement about running, period, is that you open yourself up to things that may not happen when you're protected. And that's where, again, when you are a $250 million player, it's not worth the risk, in my personal opinion. That's just me speaking as my.
I think a lot of these concussions happen when the helmets hit the ground. I mean, it's not necessarily the hits.
It wasn't a vicious hit. I mean, DeMar Hamlin was getting some flack.
It's when these guys smack the ground is when it's really bad.
It was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't even a hit. It was him awkwardly falling into another player.
Right.
And I was shocked at that result right at that point.
But speaking of the game itself, right? So actually in this game, Josh Allen didn't run at all. I mean, pretty much James Cook kind of led the way really from the jump. I mean, they kind of committed to the run and he really ran really, really well. If you're the Bills, look, you're 2-0. You usually actually beat Miami. I think it was a misnomer that they kind of struggle in Miami. They normally play relatively well there. What have you seen from again, we talked on the Wednesday on Game Winning Drive about how, the Bills beat probably an underrated Cardinals team. They came back in that game. This one didn't seem like that was the case, but they're off to a good start in a division where it does take Miami out of it. Maybe. I mean, they can put some distance between them and the Jets right now. I mean, that'll help them, longer into the season.
Yeah, it's bad news for the Jets, and it's a good start for the Bills. And the Bills had a lot of questions, remarks. Remember, no Diggs and what's that offense going to look like and everything like that, and they've been able to get it done.
It's just a different Bills team. I mean, I think this is the Bills team we're going to see this year. I think they got Cook. I think he's he's a really good back. They got a good backup, running back, and I think Allen's just going to be more almost a manager. It's tough to say that, but I mean, for what he's got, I mean, he's still working with some young receivers. So I think this is the Bills team you're going to see right now.
If you look at the second half of the season last year, especially like the last 6 games of the year, that's the Bills team that you're saying this year is heavily reliant on James Cook and the running game and everything like that. And we'll see if it pans out for him.
Speaking of injury, sorry, Drew, go ahead.
No, good. You're good. They hit everything.
I was going to say, speaking of injuries, another very high-profile one is Christian McCaffrey, who has landed on IR. He'll miss at least 4 games. The league said that they found no wrongdoing with his status before Monday night's game against the Jets. After Jordan Mason said he was told on Friday he was playing. Meanwhile, people like me left him in their lineup until whatever. Long story short, Jordan Mason had a great game. I would watch that game. I'm like, wow, this guy must have been a really high draft pick, must have been paid a lot of money for that kind of performance at running back, right? What is the impact, in your opinion, on the Niners? Again, I am not a running back guy, but I would be remiss to say, he had a big impact on that team last year. They didn't miss a beat week 1 against what was supposed to be a tough defense in the Jets. So if he's out 4 games, make it 6, whatever. Does that have an impact on your view of San Francisco? Either whatever you thought they were going to be, does it change how you look at them moving forward?
No, for me, because it's a plug and play type of thing for the running back position. I mean, we just saw it with Jordan Mason last week against we all thought, I personally, I don't know about everybody else, but I thought the Jets defense would have been a lot better than what I witnessed on Monday. I mean, with that D-line alone, I thought that front 7 would have at least made some noise with Mosley and them boys, but my God, it was really bad. It's plug and play. Trent Williams is the truth.
Yeah.
If you didn't see that on Monday night, then you're not watching football right, because this dude just creates holes. It's insane that he was gone for, I think it was like 2 weeks, Brian. He comes back, and then this guy's an absolute monster of a man at left tackle. Like I said on Wednesday, he might be the greatest left tackle of all time. I know that's a heavy debate, but I just think he's that good. it's just Brock didn't have to do much. I don't even think he threw a touchdown. It was all Jordan Mason, and that defense of San Francisco having I cannot say his name, but the safety that tore his ACL last year, the protege of Troy Polamalu, he's back this year. He's killed. That defense is just nasty, dude. It's just so disgusting. And so San Francisco's the truth. And if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, I'm smiling because I see a lot of weakness on the Jets defensively, and Aaron Rodgers didn't look good. And it's gonna be a lot of a grind this year to see if Aaron Rodgers can get back under his feet after that rough injury. Because as we see with Kirk, Aaron looked better, but it's still I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he could throw off that back foot like he used to, but he's never has. So it's kind of hard to determine how good he is and how healthy he is. But
you're not showing Aaron Rodgers QB clinic footwork when out there. So it's hard to judge that off of that. That's for sure.
That would be Talanoa Hufanga.
Yeah, as long as the 49ers have
bloodline member Talanoa Hufanga.
As long as the Niners have 5 healthy linemen, I think they're going to be okay. Because that offensive line really creates, like Drew said, creates holes, and it really is a plug and play. Maybe you miss him in the passing game. He's a little more diverse, but right now, I mean, they control that Jets game to anything. I think I saw the Jets had the ball for like 21 minutes. So the Niners controlled that game. Jets didn't run a lot of plays, didn't look good in that time. So, yeah, I can see it. I can see the Niners being okay as long as there's 5 linemen are all right.
5 linemen defense. Ayuk did nothing the other night, but they still, were able to. You have Kittle. You have a lot of weapons there, and Purdy does do a good job getting them. So they have the pieces in play to get, But with the McCaffrey injury, because this is really what this topic is about, is you're looking at extreme mismanagement on the reporting function of the entire system. And they're saying, well, on Thursday he had his worst practice ever. Well, they played and everybody knew that he was hurt and nursing something. It was highly questionable that he goes and plays. But then to go from questionable that may play to out on the IR, that's a huge swing in what happened. So either he tweaked it or something else happened with this, or just being extremely cautious. And if I'm a 49ers fan, and I think the NFL fans, and I think we are forgetting actually how long of a season it is now, right? Because we're used to a certain thing like, oh, misses 4 weeks, you're missing a quarter of the season, blah, blah, blah. The season's a lot longer now. 4 weeks is nothing now for a guy to be out. I mean, in 10 week span, we're going to be forgetting all about it. And if McCaffrey's healthy, he's going to be putting up amazing numbers.
Yeah, they're fortunate. They're just a fortunate team. They're depth, they're good, so they can get away with it.
But look, when you have things like this happen, right, you're going to have a percentage of people that will always believe there is an aspect to professional sports which is fixed. Okay, and then you talk about the people who are laying lots of money on this game, and then it doesn't. Then he's not playing. Oh, now my Niners, whatever the whole point is. I saw bets on Jordan Mason's numbers that were canceled after the fact. Because bets were placed before the books caught up to the fact that he was the starter, and then like Bet365 said, "Oh, it was actually your bet was minus 5,000, so here's your payout." So, if you're trying to avoid conspiracy theories, you're not doing a very good job of that, in my opinion. Like I think there needs to be more transparency. They got rid of the probable designation a while ago. Like it's questionable, it's doubtful, or it's out. But this year it feels like they're acting very quickly to say, "Okay, you're out 4 games." I don't remember that being that way last year. I feel like there's so many guys that are on IR this year that weren't on IR last year.
But Brian, it's also the other way around too, because you have Jordan Love not designated out yet.
Yes.
You have Ferguson for the Cowboys not designated out yet. And if you are on some fucking trash app like ESPN for your fantasy, you can't put those guys on IR. So Jordan Love ain't going to play for multiple weeks and everything like that. And you know that. And you can't make any moves. And I think it's a little bit both ways. I think there has to be more clarity. Now, the old system of the IR where there was a Wednesday designation and there was a Friday designation and it was clear reporting, because that's actually how I used to base my fantasy injury designation, whether you could IR somebody or not, off of those, based off the Friday report, questionable and worse, right? So it was actually full communication. Now there's nothing, and somebody who enjoys college football, it's even worse than college football. So
it's college football is impossible almost.
So I think it used to be. Let's rewind 30 years. Vegas used to be very strong in dictating what the injury designation was, and it was like a very important thing that these injuries were clear. Now, with the advent of the apps and partnerships with leagues and networks and everything like that, it seems like they're muddling up the information to give us less information and make our decisions, cloudier for some of these purposes. So, like George Carlin says, it's a big game, and you're not in it. So,
two teams that lost last week that are in tough spots, I think, coming into this week are the Atlanta Falcons, Cincinnati Bengals. They are staring 0-2 in the face. Atlanta goes to Philadelphia tomorrow night. Cincinnati is in Kansas City later today. When you look at these two teams, do you think either should be concerned? If so, who should be more concerned about possibly being 0-2 to start years where they were supposed to contend for division championships, if not more?
Real quick, Bri, as I just mentioned, Ferguson has now been ruled out, which we knew since Sunday night, so there you go. Anyone want to jump on this?
I mean, I think more concerning we're going to talk about is the Falcons. I think Kirk Cousins didn't really look well. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. I think he kind of looked the same. He was a sitting statue back there. Offense looked muddled, and I know TJ Watt kind of ruined the game, but did not look good with his receivers. Drake London, not a good day. Bijan, an okay day. So I think it's pretty concerning with Kirk Cousins, and it really brings up, you have the rookie quarterback waiting in the wings. So I think it's concerning, and going into the Eagles today, Monday night is not going to be easy. So I think the Falcons are in trouble.
For me, it's the Bengals. It's a division that's completely competitive, and that it is also it's the fact that I think James Jones said it this week on the show on FS1. Should we start talking about Joe Burrow being overrated? And that conversation has been looming this entire offseason from multiple people, but now he's being highlighted on a broadcasting show where someone actually questioned it. I don't know if I would go that far, but it's kind of like in this loop. He had this magical Super Bowl run, and he was an Aaron Donald sack away from throwing a Jamar Chase who beat Jalen Ramsey on the 9. It's that play that's I think is going to stick with him for the rest of his life. But the Bengals, man, they're favorite. They were postseason favorites, but now you're starting to question everything about them. Their old line, their defense. I know it's one game, but I wouldn't want to see myself 0-2 in the AFC and in the AFC North. Meanwhile, the Falcons, they can figure some things out. It's still the South, and I'm not really that big of the NFC South as much, just like most people are. It's we can make the argument that it could be the Buccaneers and the Falcons to the end of the season, maybe the Saints, but I'm not a big fan of Carr like that. So I don't know, man. But for me, Bengals 0-2, that's a rough start for them.
I think there's no issues with either team. If there is actually an issue at all, it's with the Bengals as team-wise. Kirk Cousins, Atlanta, they're going to be fine. It's a glorified preseason week 1. They went against a tough defense in Pittsburgh. He didn't look great, but I think they'll right the ship if they don't panic and try to get panics at. There has been some hint about some injuries with Cousins still, lingering, but I think it's going to be plenty of time to right the ship, and they'll be fine. Bengals are 0-2 every year, right? It seems like they're 0-2, slow start every year. And the reason why Joe Burrow is because of how he steps up in playoffs performances and how he did do the run and, everything like that. And, it is a little troubling though to see, the T Higgins out, Jamar Chase, they don't really have a running game. You see what Mixon did in Houston this weekend. I mean, that was a little bit surprising how well he ran, but now they don't have a running game and everything is on Burrow. They try to improve the offensive line, but he's going to be 0-2 after today, most likely. And you still got to figure out if he has it what in him. They didn't make the playoffs last year, right? I mean, they weren't a playoff team. He has injuries. I mean, it's something that he has to show up, but you can't discount the run he went on to get that team to the Super Bowl because it was on the arm of Joe Burrow, not some of these other quarterbacks that made it to a Super Bowl like Jalen Hurts on the strength of the entire team. No disrespect to Hurts, but Burrow was the reason why they were where they were, not Hurts. So
Hurts was definitely a passenger in my personal opinion. Bengals are 1-10 in the first 2 weeks under Zach Taylor. So this is like what they do. And I'm not excusing it, but this is what they do, right? You look at the AFC North, Baltimore lost, Cleveland lost. And I don't know how many people think Pittsburgh's a legitimate contender, not really know who the quarterback is, right? So like you're no worse off than anybody else. The concerning part is you lost a game you probably should win, whereas the Ravens lost in Kansas City. You probably have maybe an L before the season starts. The Browns, you could say, lost to the Cowboys. It's not an easy game. The Bengals lost the easiest game potentially of their season, depending on where the Pats go from here.
If that's what Suicide Pool said.
I'm sorry, what?
That's what Suicide Pool said, right?
Hey, I'm out of Drew's nice and early. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
I didn't get the invite to Drew's this year, I don't think. Did you send me something, Drew?
Don't start. I sent it to you.
Did you?
I sent it to the group.
I'm a busy man.
If you're Atlanta, again, you're in a very winnable division. Look, Tampa Bay beat up on Washington. Congratulations. The Saints beat up on Carolina. Congratulations, right? So it's not as if you're the problem for me, if you're Atlanta, and again, accounting for the fact they plays the Steelers defense, is the offense just looked really, really out of whack, right? I mean, you brought a new coach and you brought in Kirk Cousins. Like, you were supposed to solve for all the problems you had a year ago with an ass clown coach in Arthur Smith and an ass clown quarterback in Desmond Ridder, and that wasn't solved, right? So they got to figure that out. I'm not panicking on either of these two teams. I think both could certainly win their divisions. It's only week one, and week one basically extended preseason, like everybody said. So nobody should panic just yet. In fact, if they're 0-2, I still would say exactly the same. We'll see where it goes from there. But the Bengals have some injury issues and maybe some fences to mend with the story today with Jamar Chase taking out a $50 million insurance policy to protect against injury and potential lost earnings after not getting a contract extension before the season started. So Ant's having some tech problems. We'll figure that out. I think the concern, if you're going to have concern here, is the relationship now kind of affected? Again, I mean, I didn't think Chase was right to be holding out 2 years left on his deal. Like, that's a new one for me. I mean, do you think that could be some hard feelings here and this could lead potentially to a departure?
Absolutely. Well, in one way, yeah. But from what I hear, everything coming out of Cincinnati locker room it's a mess, like altogether. Like, the team does not have any continuity. It's not a very good team environment. That's lead to a lot of their failures. And this is just more fuel to the fire, right? I don't blame Jamar Chase. I mean, he for what he's doing, he wants a longer contract and everything else. And right now with T. Higgins not on the field and them struggling, he has a lot of leverage. This insurance policy, why shouldn't he? I mean, it's a great move for him personally. I mean, you take out the insurance policy, that way you get hurt. I mean, how many people are looking right now if he tears his ACL or something like that on the field? You know what I'm saying? And like, blah, 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 there goes his contract. He'll never be able to recoup that money, so. Good for Jamar, and I don't think anybody in the Bengals locker room should have a problem with this at all because he deserves at least what Justin Jefferson has, maybe $1 more.
I don't have crazy opinions about it. He's in I believe year 3 of his rookie deal, and we've seen quarterbacks hold out. We've seen the what Jamar Chase is able to do for Joe Burrow. It's a huge security blanket. They have crazy chemistry from the days of LSU. I just don't like how Cincinnati's dealing with this stuff, man. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand it. You're going to have two receivers now that are super frustrated with you in the organization. And, we saw what T. Higgins didn't play last week because of a calf or a hammy. And now he's like, listen, he's like, it's not because I don't want to play, which is bull crap. You're trying to protect yourself to get that big free agent spin, which I don't blame them. So they're really in a bad situation. Like Tony said, there's really not much more to get into it. The Cincinnati Bengals as an organization are a mess right now. And, this is why I try to stay away from them this year for fantasy and reality. Is just I don't like what's going on over there in Cincy at all.
Everything coming out shows in these negotiations that this is how Cincinnati does it. They're old school. They don't budge and everything like that. And maybe, that's pretty much why Cincinnati's been Cincinnati for such a long time until they hit a home run with Burrow,
I hate this Joe Burrow slander, by the way.
Sorry, buddy.
And it's not going to get easier for him.
It will not. No.
It's not making it easier for him. That's for sure.
Wait till you hear about Trevor Lawrence.
That's coming soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Jamar didn't get paid, but Dak Prescott did. Dak Prescott's contract broke during the show. Tony, you were not here. If you had read my face, it was not a positive experience. 1.5 star on Yelp. Do not recommend. I wanted to give you the floor because you weren't here last week for the breaking news. That you were out camping. You said you might not come back, but you're here today.
Just like I said, like we talked about a little bit with the Tua situation, this is what happens when you don't have any other options, right? Is it a good contract? Do I love that we're going to be paying CeeDee Lamb and Dak, two players, insane amount of money, and then Michael Parsons as well? Absolutely not. But I don't think Jerry had too many options except do this deal earlier. That's the biggest thing. They should have did this deal months ago, and then they could actually had a cop situation went into it because the writing was on the wall that this is the only thing. Or let them walk, and I would have been fine. I would have been fine with that. But when you do let them walk, I mean, we talk about these teams all the time. I mean, if anybody told anybody going into the show last week that Justin Fields is going to have more wins than Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers in the first week of the season, you kind of like, no. But the state of the quarterback play in the NFL is not good at all. So buyer beware, right? There's no clear-cut answer to have a successor. They haven't really had any draft capital to try to, get that done. You could do what Atlanta did and draft Penix and have him sit for, another year or whatever, but he might not be the answer either. So it's a very difficult situation. And if Jerry was going to cave on this and go with Dak, he should have did it months ago, and you should have been able to kind of figure out the cap a little bit better and expand it. Dak everything you want to say about him, in this environment in the NFL today, he is a good quarterback. And he puts up the numbers, and he puts them in a position to win a lot of football games. Now is it the talent? Now is it the rest of the team? That's to be said. He just doesn't get it done in the playoffs. He's got a playoff win. Should have had another one when Dez called it, but that's another situation. But it's thing that it's something that you're going to have to deal with, right? I mean, Dak's your quarterback. There's worse options in the NFL. So we'll see.
But there's also better options in the NFL, and I think
no, there isn't. There is a better option.
No. Just generally speaking, I mean, he's not in the elite class to me. I don't think he's any close to the elite class. Not even close. The problem for me with all of this is it was actually the most predictable thing that this is what Jerry does. Jerry is the worst poker player in the history of poker players. He sits there and he talks hard about, we don't need you and this, that, and we work on a deal. And then at the very end, he just caves and gives you everything you wanted and then some, right? We saw it with Lamb. We've seen it with contracts throughout the Jones era. If you were going to do this anyway, you should have done it what was better helpful for you. I mean, again, I would let him walk too. I was perfectly fine with that. I was perfectly at terms with that. I was ready to go into a semi-rebuild.
But this is the thing that we talked about with the team is too good to go in a rebuild. That's the problem. Too good to go in the rebuild, and you can't. We talked about wasting all this capital in Miami on wide receivers. You can't have a receiver like CeeDee Lamb out there and then go with a dumpster fire. You know, it's not going to work out for Minnesota. It's just not. You know, this season is going to be wasting this time. Sam Darnold has a come to Jesus moment and everything like that. It's just not. They also took Jordan Addison up there. He's going to be wasted all year too. You can't do the same thing with that. Your defense is too good. You have to. It's a win now team in a division that is very winnable. You know, so you know he just has to get over his playoff woes, and that's what's going to happen to him. And I think 2 years ago it was an issue with the play calling. It was a Mike McCarthy wanted to take the play calling out of Dak's hands, and you know, but at least now the Cowboys have a clear vision of what they are. Last year they completely lied about what they were going to do with the running game. They said that they're going to be a running team, blah, 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 but they didn't invest in running. They didn't invest in horrible offensive line run blockers. Now they got a pass blocking offensive line. They're going to go out there and throw the ball all the time. And they don't even have a running back worth anything right now. But what they do have is they have Zeke Elliott, who is one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL at pass blocking. And that's what they're going to do. And that's what they figured out. They're going to protect their investment in Dak. You know, so you know, we'll see. He should carve up the New England secondary today. Or, you know, he's going to have a dud like he did against New Orleans. So, you know, so it's like one of them things where you kind of left yourself no options unless you wanted to go into a complete rebuild, or you had something fired up in the background for a plan B as a quarterback successor, which we all know they don't. So this is what you get.
And Drew, you were on the show with me last week. You felt the pain. There was some pain behind my eyes. It was pretty clear when that news broke.
You?
Yes.
I don't know what pain you're trying to feel. I think it's good pain. I mean, we got a guy here that's saying, as a Giants fan, I'm very happy with that.
You know what? I just read that comment too. That's one of the dumbest things.
NFC East, yeah.
So you're just going to keep getting beat.
One of the worst quarterback contract in the NFL with Daniel Jones, and he's happy.
Listen, dude. Like I've already said it once, I'm not gonna keep on being a dead horse. We can have this argument to the day we die. I think Dak Prescott is a solid tier 2 quarterback, which is close to elite. So the fact that we want to go through this over every year and year and year, it's the dude has playoff woes, 1,000%.
The team has playoff woes,
but we're not talking about the team.
He didn't cover them Green Bay receivers.
Yeah, I mean, that game was over before you knew it.
I brought it up before. 2016 Green Bay game, that was your defense. 2019 against the LA Rams, you guys allowed 2 100-yard rushers. The first time that's happened in over 20-something years in playoff football. It's a multitude of things. He had Happy Clappy as a head coach, offensive coordinator. And then he goes from there to a massage enthusiast in Mike McCarthy, who I think is one of the worst head coaches in the NFL today. It's a multitude of things with Jerry Jones being the owner and the GM and this and that, trading away Amari Cooper for peanuts.
All right, Drew, thanks for a trip down the disgruntled trip down memory lane. If you're going to talk about memory lane, go all the way back to the 90s, so at least I have something to cheer for. I got the jersey on.
Yeah, more
Let's go back to 92, please,
in my life. So there you go.
So no, but let me just set something straight, okay? Here's the problem. Most fans, when you look at it from outside, you see that Dak is a very good quarterback in the regular season, and he's played bad in the playoffs as well as the team. It's been a bad mesh, coach.
But Quig, he's also played good though. You have to acknowledge that.
But here's the thing, though. I do acknowledge it. People like Brian Attard, the reason why he doesn't acknowledge it is because of the emotional pain as a Cowboys fan you feel when they fail. So it kind of that pain blinds you to the actual product that you have. I'm able to separate that. I see what Dak is. I see what the other options are out there, and I'm like, okay, well, here we go. No pun intended. But you're looking at an environment where fans are reactionary. They hate Hurts one day. They do that. You know what I'm saying? But like it's an issue that has to be addressed in multiple ways. Unfortunately, they don't have another option.
The only 2 games that I will ever blame him on is the 2 San Francisco games, and you can have the argument that first one where he slid, where that was a stupid decision by him, but that's the only game where I'll say, okay, those 2 games, okay, yeah, I see what you guys are saying. But in totality, man, you're acting like a quarterback just grows – a good quarterback grows off trees. Like, look at all these teams that are struggling. It's because the development of the quarterback in the college level has gone. Something that Tom Brady did get right because last week his broadcasting debut was terrible.
I'm not saying that quarterbacks grow on trees. I'm saying we had no other option.
Oh, I'm talking to Brian.
No,
that's a waste of fucking air.
No, because
it's this dude like Mark Scott. Like, this guy's saying anything but blaming Dak on the playoffs. Like, bro, you don't watch him because, dude, he has a QBR that's still one of the best, a really above good QBR in postseason. He's 14-7 in touchdowns and interceptions. Like, what are you arguing about? There's Lamar Jackson is 6-6 with the 75 to 80 QBR. It's like there's things like people don't want to bring up stats. That's why I use QBR, because QBR gives you the whole grade. It's those things where I laugh at people because it's like you're not really watching the game if you're just looking at a pick and saying, "Oh, he sucks, he's terrible." Like, bro, like that you have to watch the entire game to understand.
But you also have to understand too the you can look at QBR, you can look at stats. Dak his last playoff game threw for 400 yards, but he threw a timely pick that was just destroyed any chance of coming back. That's what I'm saying. It's
I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying. It's more
the
like
60 million is just the market.
Yeah,
it's the market. And here's the good thing about the situation that everybody is going to enjoy, including Brian. This time next year, he's not going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
So there you go. It's a market that always resets, and there it is.
I will end this topic by merging to the next one. We all agree the best quarterbacks in the AFC. No one's going to argue that. Where do you place Dak in the NFC? How many quarterbacks do you place ahead of him in the NFC?
In the NFC?
Yes.
Stafford's ahead of him.
3.
Who are your 3?
Stafford, Goff, and Love.
Who'd you say?
He said Stafford,
Goff, and Love?
Yeah.
And that's highly debatable that any of those 3 are actually above him.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You cannot say that.
I mean, separation.
I'm not putting Love above Dak. Not me. I put Dak. Dak's top 3 for
Love
me.
had an amazing run in the last half of the season, and that does not equate being better than somebody who's had some very good seasons.
No, I agree. I would put Dak in front of Love. Yeah.
It's difficult. I mean, Stafford healthy, everything like that. I'm taking Stafford, but it's difficult, and it's not easy. Surprised no one mentioned Hurts though. I'm surprised Brian didn't mention Hurts.
I said quarterback. You mentioned
Brian's got him at running back.
You mentioned Stafford, Tony. Stafford was only one of 2 quarterbacks in week 1 to break 300 yards passing, him and Tua. There were 35 passing touchdowns in week 1. That is the lowest in a single week since 2006. There were 202 average passing yards per quarterback in week 1. That is the lowest since 2008. We had this long conversation about quarterback development, why it's not there, what Tom Brady said. What are you reading into this lack of quarterback production in week 1? Is it because it's extended preseason? Is it lack of rhythm maybe players haven't really played with? Or is this signs of things to come?
Defense
is ahead of the offense because it's more reactionary, it's more stunt. The timing isn't there because of lack of preseason. And overall QB play and some of the style QB play is just not there. I mean, you have guys like Anthony Richardson, you have guys like Justin Fields that started as quarterbacks this season, this week. So you're it's a different. You have some teams that are committed to a different style of play, and I think it's kind of like a perfect storm to just have low numbers, really. I mean, there's no tight end that really even had a good game either, except Isaiah Likely, and that was Thursday night. I mean, so I mean, look at the guys who drafted Travis Kelce in the first 2 rounds. They're jumping off cliffs. Andrews was a bust, but that's kind of predictable when you've seen the injury and that kind of stuff coming out of him and how they were using him in scheme. But it's just hasn't been great quarterback play, and defense is ahead of offense normally early in the season.
I think a trend you're seeing, and I heard it on the radio and heard it on TV, is that there's different defenses this year, different coordinators that are running different defenses. You're seeing a lot of too high safeties sitting back, running these defenses that actually were brought up to defend Patrick Mahomes. So a lot of these downfield plays you're not really seeing. and now you're getting pressure on the quarterback, and you're just seeing these dump-off passes, seeing a lot of sacks due to rustiness of the preseason. So I think the defenses are kind of evolving in the league, that they're changing. So like I said, you're seeing two deep safeties more. So it's
how about the rules? How about the rules?
Yeah,
I don't know if Scotty mentioned that, but the rules like that game that what was it?
Baltimore, Kansas City.
That's an embarrassment.
6 penalties. 6 penalties on offset.
To have a guy had to not able to get that leverage. I mean, anybody who's played line or everything like that, like it's all about angles and leverage. And now you're taking out that angle for the tackle. Good luck. Good luck. And you worry about oh well, the Jets defense was awful. Well, where's Hassan Reddick? You know what I'm saying? They're pass rusher too. So I mean it's a lot of combination of that where defenses that are talented and skilled, and you've seen one in Pittsburgh, beat a team that they shouldn't really beat because that's a perfect case of defense was way ahead of Kirk Cousins in the offense, way ahead of him. And I think it's a long season and it's going to see some changes. But in the first couple of weeks, and it was just like this last year, I believe, it wasn't pretty.
I think mine's real quick, Brian. I won't go long. I think Joe's comment is absolutely comical, but we'll move on from it. It's a multitude of things. It's new formations. It's new rules of those formations that you have to set for the tackles. Ronnie Staley, obviously, Tony just alluded to it. It's that BS crap that it destroyed week one a little bit. The lack of development for quarterbacks, the rustiness that's had to come out because a lot of them don't play in the preseason. I think Mark hit it right on the line where it's that we're not seeing these guys play as much in the preseason, so that's going to affect. You said it on Wednesday. It's like week 5 of the preseason, which is week 1. 2 quarterbacks only throwing 300. I also think that alludes to, and I think and Tony would agree to this, is that we're going to see a lot more quarterbacks that are more dual threat. We're going to see a lot more rushing, man. It's just that's the name of the game now. It's changing. They want the guy that can run and want the guy that can throw. So
Justin Fields is playing today in Denver, and that doesn't sit well. Wilson, who would have loved to play in Denver today.
That's his.
Listen, they're favored to win, right? We'll talk about that game in a little bit, but if he wins today and they're 2-0, I mean, I think he keeps the job.
I don't think he's losing.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one, Brian. Russell Wilson ain't the type of guy that wants to go back into Denver and slide him up. He's the type of guy that wants to avoid Denver because he's soft, mentally, physically. Russell Wilson is a weird, soft dude. He don't have that killer instinct to say, I'm going to go into Denver. I'm going to shut these people up. He don't like that. He's going to be like, my ankle's a little bit sore. My leg's a little bit sore. My head's a little bit sore. My labia is torn. Whatever he's going to say to not play in Denver. Because, I could see Surtain taking him up.
I think it's Justin Fields' team. I think the players, the locker room, I think they want him to play. I think the head coach wants him to play. So I don't see Justin Fields losing this job, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be interesting.
It's very simple. If they win with running the ball and defense, which I don't think that they really can run the ball well, without Fields actually kind of breaking some. But I don't think that they're built to be that defensive first powerhouse running team with Justin Fields. Now you throw Russell Wilson in there, does the offenses tick up? I'm not 100% sure either. I mean, they got rid of Deontay Johnson. Carl Pickens is phenomenal. Love him as a receiver. He's going to be making some great. Yeah, Carl. Listen, I'm old, George. I'm old.
You're not that old. You're not that old.
Carl Pickens was an absolute stud back in the day. He was a stud, and his son George is
Good recovery.
I love watching the dude play. You know what I'm saying? Like he makes great catches, and with Justin Fields playing, he's going to make even more spectacular catches because bad players make great catches, and Pickens is going to have to do a job. If they win,
I get ready to move on.
They shit 2-0. 2-0. Steelers 2-0. They're good.
Better arm.
Steelers 2-0, Brian. I agree.
Better arm, better legs.
TJ Watt already won Defensive Player of the Year.
Two teams trying to go 2-0 today. Two teams trying to go 2-0 today are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the Detroit Lions. Detroit's laying a solid 8 over under 51.5. Quarterback Baker Mayfield's 146.6 was the fourth highest week one by any quarterback in the Super Bowl era. Detroit won this playoff game last year in the divisional round. They won in week one against another playoff matchup, which was the Rams. I mean, look, you think Baker's going to throw 4 touchdowns a week like he's Al Bundy? Probably not. But this seems like, I mean, should the Bucs be an 8-point dog in this game to you?
The Browns?
The Bucs.
Yeah, this is kind of high. It's going up throughout the week.
No, they shouldn't be 8-point dogs. I'll be real quick with it. Detroit Lions secondary is absolutely god awful. I think Baker's going to eat today. Plug in Baker and Chris and Mike, and especially Rachaad White, which is his safety blanket. If you guys didn't watch last week's game, it was more than proof that Rachaad White is the most less efficient runner, but he makes up for the targets and catches. So I like the Buccaneers a lot in this game, but I think Detroit's going to squeak it out a little bit, which would be huge for them in the NFC, as they will be competing with the Niners basically the entire season for that number 1 spot. So I got Detroit winning this game at Detroit, but I think the Buccaneers are going to make a lot of noise today, and I think they will make a lot of noise the rest of the season as the season goes.
Yeah, this is kind of high. This morning it was 7.5. Now it's going up to 8. I feel Baker's good play is going to keep him in the game. I think this is going to be a tight one. Kind of like the over in this game. I could see some points in this game. You know, he's probably going to be one of the most bet guys today. Is St. Brown coming off last week's disappointment. So I like
already on it.
I like anything St. Brown today. Touchdown, yards, catches. I think this could be a duel out. Him and Mike Evans. I'm going to take the Bucs to the +8. Give me the over, and give me the 2 stud wide receivers anytime touchdown. I like those 2 today.
I think the line is actually probably where it needs to be, and the over/under is really high. I think it might be the highest of the day. Is because
it's got to be, yeah.
It's the issues that the Tampa Bay's having with their secondary and on defense that weren't exposed last week. St. Brown, they came out and said, I'm already on St. Brown. The fact that St. Brown over 100 is plus money is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm already on that. I think it is a little disrespectful, though. I love Baker and the Bucs offense. They put Godwin back in the slot. I mean, he had a big game the other day. I mean, Mike Evans is not slowing down at all. He's just one of the most underrated receivers in the last 5-10 years in this era. I mean, he just goes out there and balls no matter who's throwing to him, whether it's the GOAT or whether it's Baker. So, I mean, you know, it is a little disrespectful, and maybe it might spark some life into the Buccaneers. But Detroit looked good. I mean, that last drive where they just took it down and just finished the game. Like, you know, Penei Sewell, you know, he should have been number 1 overall draft pick no matter who was out there. He just dominates everything, and that's exactly what it needs. So, I mean, Detroit's a team that, you know, I mean, see, it's interesting to see if they get Laporta involved a little bit more, but they didn't really have to. So, I mean, I think it is a tough line that I wouldn't take. I'll be a sucker and take the over just because I want to see some fireworks. So I think Baker gets some points done. Hutchinson, Sewell, I mean, these are defensive lines, and they have 2 of the best young ones in the league. And you know, Detroit's going to be a problem every week, no matter whoever they play.
This might be a witching hour game. This game, Baker will keep you in a game. I think he's playing well enough to keep them in these games, possibly win them.
He has that dog mentality, man.
Yeah.
No, and Drew, you made a comment when I laughed about his father, Carl Pickens. George Pickens Jr.'s father is Carl Pickens.
No, I get what you're saying. No, I was laughing. The part you said Cleveland Browns.
It's just odd that a junior is not
in the name,
George, but I guess they had some issues or something like that. So don't we all, right?
I just think 8's high. 8's high for this game. I mean, look, Tampa Bay's not a bad team by any means. I mean, you know, the Rams were a very good offense, and you know, they took them to overtime last week, right? So, I mean, could it be? I mean, the over probably is good, right? But I don't think 8 points. I think 8 points is just high.
I thought
they beat them. They beat them by 8 points last year, but that's not.
I mean, you could eat on just props alone in this game. You don't even have to take it. You could eat on.
Listen, and I'm gonna caveat this with because every week we put up the numbers of -8 and over 51.5. Vegas is too good with the numbers.
Yeah, they know something.
They're too good with the numbers. Like it's very rare. Like they're always within that. Like this game is going to finish 21-31 or something like that, and or 21 or 31-20 or whatever, and everybody's going to be like,
by 10.
Yeah, you're going to win by 10, and it's going to miss the over under by a hook. I mean, they're just too good with the numbers. So, I look for I try to look for matchups and stuff that's going to be sweet in the game. Players to be successful. So.
Two teams that are 0-1. The Colts visiting the Green Bay Packers, 2.5-point favorites on the road, over under 40.5. Anthony Richardson became the youngest player in NFL history with multiple 50-yard, not year, passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in the same game. For Green Bay, Willis is likely to start. He's going to be the starter for Green Bay today. That may have some impact on your decisions to play Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, depending on how you look at it.
Pause.
I mean, Richardson had
pause. Anthony Richardson and Malik Willis are starting quarterbacks in this game. Okay. Yeah. And that's why you have to pay Dak. Unfortunately, that's how it is.
We don't know Anthony Richardson yet. We don't know
listen, Anthony Richardson, I watched him all in Florida, and the fact that he is a starting quarterback right now. Real quick,
AJ Brown out.
Blows my mind. He misses passes by 30 feet. He misses passes by 30 feet, it seems. Phenomenal athlete profile. He needs to be on the bench somewhere learning behind somebody. He threw a bomb 60 yards.
65 yards.
Beautiful pass. Jamarcus Russell could do that too. That's what I'm saying. Like you take somebody with his factor, put him out. He has to learn how to play the game. He has to work on his accuracy. And the fact that these two guys are starting quarterbacks in the NFL is a major red flag on the state of the NFL quarterback, and one of the reasons why you have to pay the good ones.
Yeah. I said it last week. Shame on the Packers. I mean, this is not a good backup quarterback. We talked about this. It's going to be hard for the Packers to win football games with Love out.
Breaking news for the Eagles fans: AJ Brown out.
Yep. Oh wow! Now another late week.
That's a Monday game.
No, it's a Monday night game.
Yeah.
Monday game.
Yeah.
Nothing more to get into this, Brian. Other than the fact that I can't trust the Packers.
Oh, timeout. Sorry, bro. This is a little bit more breaking. Evan Ingram out today, hamstring injury. Evan Ingram out.
Oh.
That wasn't for
Pregame warmups.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Well, slip and fall.
Well, slip and fall right at my fucking lineup.
Should have been standing there.
I'm rolling with the Colts today, Brian.
I can't trust Malik Willis to win a football game.
The play here is the under.
Yeah.
I got this game. I got Colts in the Colts money line and Jags money line already locked in.
Yeah,
I guess Ingram isn't going to make that too bad, but you know what? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see the Packers winning this game. Like I said, with Malik Willis.
But here's the thing: it's a 2.5. Why is the line 2.5? This should be the 8-point line, right? Like, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
because Richardson had 9 completions last week.
And how many attempts?
19.
Exactly. He's not good. But you still have a phenomenal defense. You still have a phenomenal running game.
No, but that's why it's not 8.
And they're at Lambeau. I mean, I don't know. I like the Colts in the under. I think the under is the strong play today. And Jonathan Taylor anytime touchdown. I mean, if you just I mean that's where I'm looking at in this game. And hoping the Packers lose.
I picked 11 guys for anytime touchdown with a boost for $50. If I win $60,000 today, be a good day.
maybe we'll get a set again.
Yeah, maybe we can join up.
2 0-1 teams. I like the Colts today too. A team that actually probably does need to win today is the New York Jets, right? So the New York Jets lost last week in San Francisco. They're -3.5 today at the Titans, who became just the third team in 20 years to blow a 17-point lead and lose despite allowing no offensive touchdowns to Ant's Chicago Bears. Rodgers has never started 0-2 in his 17-year career. I don't think it happens today. I think the Jets win this game, although that hook is a little concerning.
Not concerning, Brian. I think the Jets defense comes today to Tennessee with a chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to blitz the hell out of Levis and make it even harder on them than the Bears did. So I like the Jets today to rebound in this game. Give me the Jets minus the 3.5. Aaron Rodgers is going to link up with Garrett Wilson for the first time this year. Give me that for plus 170. I saw that's pretty good value. I'm with the Jets today.
Baby, Bobby.
I mean, is this defense the time the defense is gonna be great? You know, I think that's the big thing for the Jets. Pollard looked good last week. They were actually ran the ball a lot more effectively. The way I was viewing the Titans coming in this season, they're going to be down. Levis is going to be throwing the ball around, running around, making plays. I think Breece Hall has a huge game today. Huge game, catching the ball out of the backfield. Rodgers did not push the ball downfield at all. I think that was the scheme of what San Francisco's game plan was, is keep everything underneath of him, make the tackle. Because outside of Wilson, whose jersey, he's got the old school Altoon. He's got the old school Altoon jersey with the longer sleeves and everything going on. Like, I like the look, but they weren't able to kind of break plays and get over top. I like Hall, big game today on the underneath, receiving and rushing. And I think the Jets do win this.
Yeah, I got the Jets winning this one. I think it's gonna be closer than a lot of people are gonna think. I think Tennessee's defense is a little sneaky. I think they're on the trend of being pretty good. Their offensive line also be invested a lot in two guards, as we all know, in the offseason from free agency. It's gonna be one of those games where I think it's gonna go down the wire. I think sorry about my son. I think it's gonna end up being like Tony said, Breece Hall's gonna have a big game. So yeah.
The Vikings are 1-0. Break up the Vikings. They 1-0 Niners, 1-0 Vikings. San Fran laying 4 and a hook on the road. 46.5 is the number. Brock Purdy has the most wins and highest passer rating since week 14 of 2022, as he was the starter. Darnold earned his first win last week since being the starter for the Carolina Panthers, week 18 of 2022. When you look at this, I mean, the Jets are minus 3.5 against an 0-1 Titans team. The Niners are minus 4.5 against a 1-0 Vikings team with Sam Darnold at quarterback. I feel like that's begging for Niners money, and that concerns the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you, Brian. I think this game's going to be close. I think the Vikings are all right with Sam Darnold. I don't think they would have been any better with a rookie quarterback. So I don't know what they expected. The guy looked good. So be it against the Giants. You got weapons. You got a good running back. You got the best wide receiver. You got your other wide receiver out. But I think the Vikings at home could give the Niners some problems. Niners coming off a win. I'll take the 4.5. Give me the Vikings with the 4.5. I'll buck the public. I feel you. I think a lot of people are going to – I think they see this number, less than 6.
It's begging for it, isn't it? I mean, it's like –
I think this is the game where Brock Purdy is going to have like a 4-touchdown type of game today.
I can see that too.
I think Minnesota's living off a great week 1, but who they play. I mean, that's important. So it's also the fact that Aaron Jones, I think don't start. It's gonna be a tough start for him. But Justin Jefferson should get his targets and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, man, I'm easily taking the 49ers to go 2-0 after beating the Minnesota Vikings today.
Let me just point out something. We broke the Evan Ingram news and AJ Brown moves before the ESPN app did. So
it just went off.
I mean, I don't know why.
I just got the alert too. So and then at that time I had to pick up Zach Ertz my two tight ends in that league, which I thought was a solid Ferguson and Evan Ingram combo. By week 2, it's shit. So
Yeah,
Zach goes to the rescue.
I got one. So I'm in a league where you got to play every player, and it's not good because I'm missing Puka, I am missing McCaffrey, I am now missing Higgins.
Knock on wood. I survived week 1.
Well, I mean, in your league, I lost. What did I lose? I lost McCaffrey, Jordan Love, and Kenneth Walker. I lost those 3, and bang, bang, bang. Good night.
Brutal.
There you go. Charbonnet or Xavier Worthy today as a flex.
Ooh.
Worthy.
That's who I got in.
I was big on Kenneth Walker going into the year. Still am great long-term value. One of the reasons why I'm big on him is because I watched Charbonnet play a lot in Michigan, and I was never enamored.
Yeah.
So I don't really. I think
Worthy for me.
Yeah.
Worthy.
Yeah, I got Worthy. That's where I have him.
Charbonnet should get in the end zone today, though.
He's all they
Worthy.
got. He has no depth behind Seattle. So
And-
really all they got. Yeah.
And with Worthy, don't expect like a Tyreek Hill type of thing. He has a role, he has a position, and I think what they're going to do a lot with him is going to be a lot of those what Kadarius Toney should have been, but he's a lot better than Toney with hands and wrist and more risk routes. He fits Andy Reid's dynamic of play calling, and I think he's going to have a good wide receiver 3 type of role. And I think he's gonna be good, dude, for Kansas City.
And with Brown out for the year now, they're saying he's in. So I think he's going to be in the lineup.
fastest runner last week was Geno Smith in the NFL.
I did see that.
The 1-0 Saints visit the 1-0 Cowboys. Dallas laying 6.5. 47 is the number. Saints have won 5 of 6 going back to week 14 of last year. Cowboys defeated this team in their last matchup, which was 3 years ago, week 13, 27-17. Cowboys got a win last week where look, they scored a lot of points. You got some special teams points. Defense played really well. A lot of speed in that defense. You see what Mike Zimmer's doing there. I mean, again, the Browns offense is not necessarily world on fire, but the Cowboys play really well defensively. Saints just obliterated the Panthers, but it's the Panthers. Tony, one of the resident Cowboys fans on the panel today. This is a game that they should probably win and throw up nice numbers. That's what they do in September.
Look, like I mentioned earlier, I think Dak should be able to take advantage of the Saints secondary. So you know that would be Deshaun Watson taking advantage of something. This is a show me game, really, because you know what, honestly, as bad as they say Deshaun Watson looked and Browns looked and everything like that, he was missing 2 tackles and they have no running game, right? So they're missing 2 starting tackles, no running game, and had no game plan for Micah Parsons. I can't expect the Saints to be that stupid not to try to do something to try to mitigate Parsons' pass rush. And for the Saints, are they really that good? Is Carolina really that bad? You know, I think we're going to see kind of a little bit of both. Let's not forget, in the second half of that Cowboys game, they didn't score and they looked awful. They looked awful. They took one back to the house on a return, but other than that, the offense didn't do anything. Cowboys cannot run the football, and they're not even. You know what? Just don't even try to run the football because they can't. Every time Zeke touches it, it's not a good thing. And mostly it's because of the running blocking. They just don't do it. They didn't commit to it last year. They're not doing it this year. So they just got to let it rip. Got to be creative on offense. Get CeeDee Lamb involved in every single series. Brandon Cooks looked good too. So anytime tutty for him, I think might be a pretty nice payout. Kamara back looked decent against Carolina. You know, Rashid Shaheed scored long touchdown, Carolina. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a show me. I think this game is going to be a little bit closer than what people expect because I don't think either team is as good as people think they are right now.
For me, man, this is a CeeDee Lamb cook day. No Marshawn Lattimore, time to eat. It's just the way that I'm looking at this game view. Like Tony said, they can't run. So let's pass. Let's get creative. So I think we should see a lot of creativeness from hopefully from Mike McCarthy to pull something out of his ass and make this offense look really good. And defensively, all I'm doing on defense is lighting Micah on the side of Trevor Penning. It's that easy. let him abuse him, because Terrell Benning is not good right tackle whatsoever. So just abuse the right side and have a day. I think that should be the game plan for the defense for Dallas, and this should be a game where play all 4 quarters and show your dominance in the NFC. It's that simple. Go 2-0, and let's get moving on week 3.
Whoa. The Browns quietly removed a clause from Deshaun Watson's contract this offseason that would have protected him in the event of a future suspension, according to Jay Glazer on Fox. Per the report, if Watson is suspended again, Cleveland could reclaim his guaranteed money.
Good for them.
The Deshaun Watson thing is an absolute joke. Leave the dude alone. Honestly, like whatever he did, leave him alone, because I mean, you see the nonsense that goes on in the NFL every week, that and the other thing. Leave him alone. Like you remove a clause, and all of a sudden these allegations come up from 2020, I believe it was. Come on, like they didn't know those allegations were out there. It's just like in Houston. Just for whatever reason, things just didn't go right there, and the Browns were dumb enough to grab them, and now the Browns are figuring out a way to grab them. I think it's 2024. You want to bring up 2020 allegations after you already figure he's a bust. I bet they don't come up if Watson comes out there and shreds the NFL the rest of the season, because as Atari thinks he's a top 5 quarterback. So let's see if he performs.
Excuse me, I said he's a high talent quarterback. Again, difference between talent and production. Went over this yesterday.
Listen, just like we remember that Mike Galletta did not want Tom Brady, we remember you said.
I believe I said he has a chance to be 6th.
I remember that.
I said it's on paper. He has a chance to be 6th. You know exactly what I said.
Okay, top 6 quarterback.
He was in Trevor Lawrence.
He has a chance to be 6th.
If Brian ran the Cowboys, you'd have Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson as quarterbacks. Which
you only need Trevor Lawrence at that point. You probably go 14-3 and coach.
Has to work for the Jags.
Well, the Jags don't have the Cowboys' rest of their roster, do they?
You can make the argument that they do.
Jags have a nice roster.
Cowboys win today.
I agree with Tony, man. I don't know. This Cowboys team, it's just tough because they have no running game. It's like they're just they're going to depend on Dak's arm, I feel like. 6.5 at home. Give me the boys.
Listen,
I'll take them.
This has 27-20 written all over it.
That CD Lamb scored at home game 7 straight, anytime touchdown for CD Lamb. So, you know what?
And Rico Dowdle.
Get 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns today for CD.
Rico Dowdle plus 240.
The Seattle Seahawks are 1-0, and so are the New England Patriots. They play each other. Seahawks laying 3 and a hook on the road. The over-under is a vibrant 38. McDonald, the head coach of the Seahawks, would be the second ever in Seahawks history to win the first 2 games of his tenure, not since 1982, Mike McCormack, which sounds kind of like McDonald. New England head coach Gerard Mayo was one of only 2 rookie head coaches to win in week 1. The other one was the coach of Seattle. Look at how that works out. Zach Charbonnet will start today. Kenny Walker will not play. Tony, they're starting Jacoby Brissett over Drake May. What do you think about that?
I think it's 2024, and Geno Smith and Jacoby Brissett are quarterbacks in the NFL and starting. And that shows that, just like the Packers game, that the quarterback of the NFL is in a dire straits. Starting him over, I mean, okay, Drake May's not ready. They have no offensive weapons. Ramondre Stevenson had a phenomenal game last week somehow. No offensive weapons, no offensive game plan for the most part, as you could see, except just running the ball. I guess they just want to go with Brissett, and they screw up their draft order and everything like that. But I don't have a problem with May sitting. I think that these quarterbacks are thrown into the fire way too early. It's been a fad the last 5 years because they want to, maybe even longer, for immediate return on investment. Let May sit, let them get better, let them learn, just figure out how things go in the NFL. And, I mean, listen, Geno Smith was a failure in his first few years in the NFL, right? Took him some season experience. He turned into a pretty solid quarterback. it happens. And I think, give these guys a little bit more opportunity to develop is a smart thing. Today, I don't even know with this game because Patriots shouldn't win a game all season. They have nothing. I don't even know. Is their defense even good anymore? Not really. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Burrow looked awful last week. Can't say it was a defensive thing. So, if I had to bet on this game, which I definitely would not, because, I don't hate money that bad, I would take the Patriots in 3.5 just because, it's a home game and it's a long road for them to travel. It's a West Coast team, 1:00 game in New England.
You get the
Home dog. All the adages are saying take the Patriots in the points.
Yeah, not much to it. I agree. I like the Patriots here. I like the hook. I think they could just stay in the game, muck it up. The under is probably going to hit 38. So, not betting this game, but I would take the pass with the points.
This is tough. I don't like this game at all. I'm going Seahawks just because I believe their defense a lot more than I do with New England. I think Jacoby's going to have a tough game today. Overall, dude, DK Metcalf, I think he only had like 2 catches last week. So you gotta eventually you gotta start throwing, especially with Ken Walker out. I think they're going to be relying on that throw a little bit more. Sluggish first half for Seattle. For some reason why I watched the game last week a lot. But second half they started opening it up with Ken Walker, as Tony alluded to earlier. Yeah, dude, I'm going Seattle. I think Geno's going to have a simple game plan and just continue to feed Dak and lock it. So,
if the Pats go to 2-0, it's extremely counterproductive, is what it is. Let's call it what it is. Where I come from in that. So, if the only game available to you is Washington and the Giants, if you need to clean out your garage, do some lawn work, go shoot yourself in the balls with a gun. This is pretty much what you should be doing instead of watching this game. Washington's laying 1.5, over under 43.5. Since winning 9 games and having a 92.5 passer rating in 22, Jones 1-6 with a 65.1. Jaden Daniels, the first quarterback since 1950 with 180 passing yards and 80 rushing yards in their first career game. There will be brighter days ahead for the Commanders. It could start today. How they're only 1.5 is interesting. That's what makes me concerned about the game.
It's not really interesting. Their secondary isn't that great. He's a rookie quarterback. This is a toss-up. Complete toss-up. You're neither teams are that good. Rookie quarterback Daniel Jones. Obviously everybody would have Jaden Daniels right now, but we'll see how he develops. I like Brian Robinson Jr. here to have a big game. I think him, he's going to get a heavy workload. He's going to get in the end zone. He's really going to take that top. And then on the other side of the ball, the only thing to watch on the Giants offense is Malik Neighbors. Just get the kid the ball, get him in space, let him do his thing. I think he could have some interesting plays. Some fun stuff to watch.
This is a big game for fantasy wise for Jaden Daniels. I'm plugging all Washington offensive players that have some relevance into this game. On the flip side, you can start Singletary. Neighbors should have a day. Daniel Jones, I don't know about him, man. He gives me the creeps. He sucks. And so he's just like, I'm just not a fan of this game whatsoever from a realistic standpoint. Going with Washington just because I have to pick somebody. But other than that, I won't be watching this game.
Brian, you're slipping. Where's the picture of Daniel Jones looking lost in space?
Yeah, he's just, we said it at the time, like that year that they won 9 games and won a playoff game is going to set this team back a half a decade. because decisions were made, right? You can't sell your fan base on a rebuild. You sign the quarterback, you sign the running back, and it just what happens. That's the expectation.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you because it's called buyer's remorse. They should have never ever invested in Daniel Jones. They knew that the reason why they had a good year was because of what you said. It was a lame duck schedule of a year that year for the Giants. That's why they got so lucky. And the fact that Brian Daboll was the coach and he was hiding the weaknesses, which are a lot, of Daniel Jones. You can easily not have to give him that contract in the offseason, let him walk.
No, but Drew, you're right. You don't draft somebody who was supposed to be drafted later in the draft as a 6th overall pick. Especially when you have two. They could actually set themselves up for years to come. And then also even if they drafted Jones later, they don't have to invest in him. We see it all the time. So
yeah, but my point is, how do you walk away from that? Okay, if you're the Giants, right? Everybody that was a Cinderella year. They won a bunch of coin flip games, had no business winning games. They caught a fraud Vikings team. You kind of can't decide, okay, we're going to blow it up right now today.
So let me ask you something. Eagles won one Super Bowl in their history. Who was the quarterback?
Nick Foles.
They walked away from him. They could walk away from Daniel Jones. The reason why? Nick Foles wasn't the most talented quarterback that they had the opportunity to have. Same thing with Daniel Jones. He's just not a good quarterback. Walk away from him. I don't care if he, what do you want? One. There's plenty of Super Bowl winning teams out there with Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson that they parted ways with. You gotta evaluate the talent on the team and see what the issue is. And the issue with the Giants is clearly it wasn't running back, although he couldn't stay healthy. So I don't really have a problem with them letting him go. It's their quarterback. So, and unfortunately, drafting a receiver in Malik Neighbors doesn't help that situation either. So,
Yeah, I think they wanted May bad.
I like both quarterbacks rushing props today. I think they're both going to be running. I got Jaden Daniels over 50, and they got Daniel Jones over 27.5. I think both quarterbacks run more than pass today.
I think there's a lot of Jaden Daniels love on the running, and I think my one buddy's on plus 60 at plus money. I took Daniel Jones at 40.
Yeah, no, that's a good bet. You're getting plus money. Yeah.
Oh, it's I think it's like 330 or something like that.
No, I agree.
Great bet.
I got to jump on that.
All right, guys, I got to get going. I'll see you guys.
All right,
Drew.
You're going to miss the Charger game coming up next.
Oh, I'll do the Charger game. I didn't know that was next.
That's next. I'll go right now. The Chargers 1-0, break them up at the 0-1 Panthers, laying 5 and a hook. 39 is the number. Have not been 2-0 since 2012, when then they lost week 3 and finished 7-9. Carolina's 37-point loss to the Saints was the largest week 1 loss in franchise history so far. Because there'll be a future on that. Drew, I know you're on the way out, so go ahead. Give me your thoughts on where your team's at.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for where my team's at, man. It was a good win last week. Not a great win. I'm not going to go over crazy about it. It feels like I was telling you, Brian. It feels like it kind of reminds me a lot of not the 06 but the 05 Chargers when 05-04 when Marty first showed up. That's the excitement that I'm feeling with Jim, Coach Harbaugh. I could see it. I saw last week. We saw a sideline when they had that 4th down stop. All the coaches and all the training staff was pumping up their chest and showing excitement, something that we have not seen since 2009 with Norv Turner. And even then, I wasn't a big fan of Norv Turner, but still, they're showing passion. I love everything that they're doing, man. It's great. For today's game, I got the Chargers. Usually this is a trap game, and I'm a little scared about it. I'm not having that this week. I feel like if they just go and handle business and do what they're supposed to do and have that game plan they did last week against the Raiders and just implement it this week, it's going to be a good game. Herbert doesn't have to do much. J.K. Dobbins, 135 yards, 1 touchdown. Just keep on abusing that trenches and winning at the trenches. Joel Alt seems to be the right pick. I know there was a lot of controversy around that over the draft, which I don't know why, because I was all about Joel. I think that was the right pick. Herbert had way more time this year than compared to last 2 years and throwing the ball in the pocket. Obviously, receivers is an issue, but I think that will be fixed as time comes. Lad McConkey is going to be a guy that I think will be a serviceable, a little bit better of a Hunter Renfrow is what I'm looking at right now so far at the slot. Other than that, man, defense looked great. Everything looks good. This is a game that they should win, and we'll talk about it obviously on Game Winning Drive if they F up. But at the end of the day, dude, I don't see this team under Harbaugh losing those close games. You know what I mean, Brian? We talked about it. Those close games, those games where the Chargers are chargering.
They won't beat themselves.
Yeah, I don't see that happening because as we saw last week, it didn't happen. And usually those type of games where Herbert's not throwing over 300, you're not winning. This is the first time he's ever won a game where he's thrown below 2. So it's encouraging.
And one of the things, though, I mean, you kind of knew this was going to be the game plan by the Chargers coming into the season. You know, it's going to be completely revamped. The success of J.K. Dobbins doing well isn't surprising. Doing that well might be surprising, but by week 2, he might not even be on the field anymore.
Yeah.
So it'd be, it's interesting. This matchup right here comes at the worst time for the Panthers with they're facing a strong running team with Derek Brown out for the season now, which is one of their shining hopes on defense. So this is going to be a bad day. I think your boy Herbert might get a couple touchdowns today off of play.
I agree.
Like that. So I think the Chargers win rather easily. The Saints aren't, a phenomenal team, and they kind of blew the Panthers out. Be interested to see how Bryce Young continues to develop. Sneaky bet. I got Deontay Johnson's over today. I think they're going to be working him in and trying to get the ball to him a lot, and I don't think the Chargers secondary is something that DB is scared of. So Deontay Johnson, it's overs, but Chargers win easy. A lot of garbage time throws for Bryce Young.
When I first saw 5.5, I thought it was a little low. But then, talk about a West Coast team again. We talk about that traveling. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Chargers. I can't see myself taking the Panthers today. I'm a Harbaugh guy. I love what he's doing. We talk about Dobbins. You got Gus Edwards. They're going to run the ball, take care of the ball. Give me the Chargers today, minus 5.5.
Nope. I think Quick's taking a break too. We just lost 2 people in 2 seconds.
What happened?
He said be right back. Nice. He's fine.
That's all good.
Giants skins. I'll watch Phillies Mets. He says. I just missed that. I just saw that comment from Chris Wilson. Phillies are fine. The Mets stink. Thoughts on this game? Cleveland and Jacksonville. So Browns are 0-1, as are the Jags. They're laying 3 at home. 41.5 is the number. Cleveland's deep.
Computer crashed.
We're having a bad 3 minutes here on the show. That's all right. I hear you, but I can't see you. There you go. All right.
I got you. I'm here.
Cleveland's defense at home is not Cleveland's defense on the road. Cleveland allowed 31.1 points per game on the road last year, which was the most in the NFL. So imagine where they were ranked as how good they were at home to have that ranking despite how bad they were on the road. The Jacksonville Jaguars have lost 6 of 7 going back to week 13 of last year. We said Evan Ingram is out today. He pulled up lame in pregame, so that may affect their passing offense. A lot was made about Tank Bigsby last week, with the way things are going. So, that he's having tech problems. Bigsby maybe cutting into ETN's role. What's your thoughts on that, though?
As far as Bigsby, you know what? There was a lot of hype with him last year, right? To come in and break into ATN's role, and he just didn't live up to it. This year, he had a good week 1. I'm taking a wait to see approach to him. I think they're both pretty talented backs. ATN has more overall talent, and I think he it's not leaning to a full share, but I think it's something that you have to keep an eye on. I mean, football perspective, good fantasy perspective, this isn't a great situation. This is a game that the Jaguars have to win, and they have to win in pretty good-looking fashion because when a team gets beat up by the Cowboys like that, there's a lot of concerns. There was some questions today, and whether they're going to go to Jameis Winston. And from what I'm hearing, is they're actually looking to play Jameis Winston at some times today, which is a very, very interesting statement. They didn't say he was going to start; they said he will play. So I don't know if they're just referring to suiting up or what's going on or looking to get him in to get some work. But I I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan, but I think it's just a bad situation for him to be in. I mean, you're going up against one of the top 3 defenses in the Dallas Cowboys without your starting tackles, and you have no running game. I mean, it's Jerome Ford. I mean, come on now. Like, there's no – it was just a bad situation, and Watson didn't look good at all, but at the same time, there's a lot of quarterbacks that didn't look good in week 1. Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, and no one's calling for their heads. So I think Watson needs to get a little bit more of a longer leash and get it out there just like the other quarterbacks. I think he's just scaring a lot of people, and the Jaguars and Josh Allen and coming off the edge and everything. I think they're going to really make it difficult for him. Jaguars win this game, lay to 3, no problem. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a scare tactics in Cleveland. That's for sure. They were wishing for the days of Baker Mayfield, maybe. Seeing what he's doing in camp.
Yeah, this Cleveland team just seems totally out of whack. Are their tackles coming back today? Did you see that? I mean, their offensive line woes. I mean, it's not going to get any better. I like the Jags here today too. May buy the point to go 2.5. Feel a little more comfortable with that. So give me the Jags and an ATN touchdown. I think he scores after his fumble last week on the goal line going in for the against Miami. So I'll take that.
I had asked I think you were off. Your thoughts on Bigsby's eating into ETN? Is there a legit thought to that, or is that like a one-game wonder?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again. I missed.
Tank Bigsby's just you got to go draft, pick him up in fantasy. He's gonna take over ETN's job, or at least make it a timeshare. Just your thoughts on.
I don't think so. I think ETN's too good receiving the ball, and he could do other things. Bigsby's just pretty much a north-south running back. It seems like to me. So, if anything, maybe cuts down on his goal line touches.
To answer your question real quick, Conklin and Willis are both out, and they're both very, very good offensive tackles.
That's huge.
It's not like it's okay. It's just they have just a guy out. Like they lost, they're starting running back in Chubb. Now they lost Njoku, and Joe Flacco resurrected him, so you could see what he did, and he actually had some really nice catches in Dallas until before he got hurt. And your 2 starting offensive tackles who were extremely good. It's a difficult situation on offense for that team, and I think Jerry Jeudy's banged up as well, but will play. Yeah. So, I mean, there's snipers looking out for Deshaun Watson, but I don't know if it's 100% fair,
Jags in the under. I like the under too. Yep.
Last game of the 1:00 set is the 0-1 Raiders at the 0-1 Ravens. Baltimore, the highest line of the day, laying 8.5. The number's 41. Interesting yin yang in this game. Since entering the league in 2016, Devontae Adams leads the NFL with 91 receiving touchdowns. Since entering the league in 2016, Derrick Henry leads the NFL with 91 rushing touchdowns. How about that? Both of them entered the NFL in 2016, exactly the same amount of touchdowns at what they do. I feel like today, if there's anybody who you said Lamb might score 2 touchdowns, I got a feeling that Baltimore overcorrects and just gives the ball to Henry a lot. Like they've been kind of lambasted a little bit. I think he gets 2 goal line touchdowns today at the very minimum. He might even get 3. This is one of those games where again, the Ravens are going to win this game. I'm not even really concerned about the Raiders offense. They need it. They're going to get it. I don't know what they do through the air, but Henry should be featured relatively well today.
Yeah, I don't think it's overcorrection. I think it's just getting their heads out there. To be honest with you, he had 5 carries in the first drive, and then has 3 the rest of the game, or something insane like that. So I mean, that's their offense looked good with Mar pulling it, Henry diving, and then they completely went away from it. I don't think they go totally just throwing like they did, last game, but this is definitely an opportunity for Henry to kind of get right and then to kind of right the ship. I do like Zay Flowers today with over yards. I think they could run the play auction. Isaiah Likely has now been exposed as one of the weapons. That 2 tight end set is just destructive because Likely is definitely that factor tight end that could actually get up and down. Mark Andrews actually was open more than any other tight end last week. So, in coverage percentage that I read. So that was very interesting because he really didn't have a big day. And they're also using him to block a lot. So, I mean, we'll see how they kind of quantify those numbers. But I think this Ravens offense is just going to be too much for him. And the Raiders can't run the ball. They can't run the ball. Zamir White's not the answer. Madison looked like a better back last week. So, I mean, that he might be on somebody's radar. So, you're not going to beat the Ravens as a one-trick pony either on that defense. I like Baltimore. I like the 8. I like Lamar Jackson's rushing. I like Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. I like Zay Flowers over. Brock Bowers, I like him to get the bulk of the receptions because I think he'll be able to expose some of the Ravens' defense all over the middle.
I think the main concern I saw with the Ravens was their offensive line. I mean, they kind of struggled last week, I thought, a little bit with that.
I seen that too, Ant, but when they ran, it was all situational.
True.
Like everybody in the planet knew they were running.
It. Yeah, when they're going to run. Yeah, I hear you. But, yeah, they're going to be too much for the Raiders today. Like you said, the Raiders can't really run the ball. Like you said, I'm all over Zay Flowers today. I really like him. I think Lamar is starting to throw to him more often. And I like him for an anytime touchdown also.
It's interesting. I'm gonna be looking on the defensive side for the Raiders is how Max Crosby reacts to being dominated. Max Crosby was actually taken out of the game last week by Joe Alt. And that rookie, and Drew wasn't here to celebrate it, but that rookie looked phenomenal. I mean, he looked everything that a number 1 overall pick should look, but he wasn't number 1 overall pick. Yeah. So go figure on that.
Talk about get a good return. He'll be there for 10, 12 years.
Absolutely. I mean, and we'll see if Max Crosby kind of takes some personal pride because he is a phenomenal player and see how he kind of reacts against this Ravens team. So look for him to maybe get 1, maybe 2 sacks on Lamar.
Any concern with the number here? 8.5.
Nah, that's accurate. I don't think it's accurate.
West Coast team going against playing a much better East Coast team at 1 o'clock. Let's roll with the number.
Into the 4 p.m. games before I hit the bathroom really quick is the Rams in an NFC West battle against the Cardinals. Now, the Rams are laying just 1 on the road. The 48's the over-under. They beat Arizona by 17+ in both games last year. The Cardinals are 2-13 against the Rams since 2007, and they've dropped 5 of 6. So shouldn't this number be higher? Or is this a function of Arizona looked not out of place last week in Buffalo, where they kind of let that game kind of slip through their hands a little bit, whereas the Rams obviously also let the game slip through their hands against the Lions. So from your, is that -1 a concern as far as like a fishy kind of number, or do you feel comfortable with that? I'll be right back.
I'm actually okay with it. I talked about this last week. I think the Cardinals are a better team than people are going to give them credit for. I think once they get it going offensively with Marvin Harrison Jr. and get him involved, I think they have a lot of good pieces on offense. It's their issue on defense. So, and I mean, he talks about the history here. Last year, I mean, last year the Rams had Darnold, who dominated those games. No, I'm sorry, Aaron Donald, not Darnold, dominated those games against Arizona. So I think it's different circumstances. I think the Rams come out today, but I think it's going to be a battle. I like the over also. I think the over is going to hit.
One of the things that's interesting to me is I think that the Cardinals are a little bit underrated, and it's what they're doing. If they actually can think themselves, their power running game is phenomenal. James Conner has looked like back from the day. I'm not a big believer in his talent at all. Didn't like him in Pittsburgh. Didn't like him.
He can catch the ball too. He catches the ball too. Everything he's doing.
And they do a very good job running the ball. I mean, it was when they beat a couple good teams last season early in the year. That's what they did. They ran the ball. They played solid defense. You know, they couldn't really keep pace with Buffalo last week. But what they did was there. And the biggest red flag was for the Rams is when Detroit said, "Let me just put our helmets on and blow you over." That's what they did, and they went down there and won the game. And I think if the Cardinals embrace that strategy, power running game, attack them, it's going to be difficult for the Rams to get that offense going. I mean, their running game was interesting last week. I guess you could say in some aspects. Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp of old, which I think is phenomenal, and Stafford's there. But if they don't get the ball, they can't run. Now, on the Cardinals' offensive side of the ball, though, I don't have the faith in them to kind of actually play that style of game, though. I just don't. I just don't think that Collar is the type of player that just wants to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't have any. I have extreme red flags right now with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
if you've seen the report out last week that no player in the history no wide receiver in the history of the NFL had a lower average speed than he did last year. Barely ran at all. He was not running hard. He was out there going through the motions. He was not focused. He did not look like a guy who wanted to actually be, considered one of the best receivers in the NFL, or even in this draft. He just didn't have it. The effort wasn't there. The stuff coming out of the locker room, it's not my job to get him the ball. And I think Harrison said, "Oh, I just run my routes or whatever." Like there doesn't seem any continuity that you would want your young quarterback and your young receiver that could go. Big red flag there. I think the Cardinals are capable of winning this game. The recipe is there. Power run, a lot of Trey McBride. See if you could motivate Marvin Harrison to actually do something. It's tough. But I'm going to take the Rams because I just don't believe that the Cardinals are a smart enough team to actually impose their will on another team. So give me the Rams. Give me Stafford. I think he's, phenomenal. And, big Cooper
Stick
Kupp.
with Cooper Kupp stats. You got to stick with Cooper. I mean, that's all you got. I mean, they got another sleeper, maybe their tight end Parkinson. Got really involved last week. He's an option for an anytime touchdown. I mean, the Rams only could go to so many people. You got Kupp, Parkinson, and Williams, really. So,
I mean, are you worried? I mean, not having Nakua there. I mean, is that a I don't know. Like, I feel like
we've seen it before.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. The Kupp, Stafford. I mean, they've done it.
Yeah,
so
and the way that Kupp. The only reason why Puka became Puka.
Kupp got hurt.
Is because Kupp got hurt. And they're running them low, those really high value, get them in space, running. I mean, that's their running game, really. I mean, and Cooper is still going to do that. Like some of those routes you just can't defend them, to be honest with you. I mean, so they get him, find ways to give him the ball. He's going to have 20 targets today, and it's not going to anything to defense. Now, if DeMarcus Robinson and the other guys can take the top off, that's even another weapon that Stafford could utilize. Kobe Parkinson, their tight end, has become a weapon. So, I mean, I think that the way that the Rams design it and the way that Stafford has commanded this offense, no concerns at all with Puka being out.
So it's okay. Are you concerned for Puka when he comes back from a fantasy perspective that this is going to be one of those like bust type picks?
No, because I'm in 10 leagues and I have no shares of Puka.
I'm in 7. I have 2.
I do have 6 shares of Cooper Kupp, so you can see where I'm.
Yeah, I have Cooper Kupp. I think it's a lost year it's going to be a lost year for Puka. I think fantasy managers should just chalk it up. Even if he comes back, what are they saying? 6 games?
They're talking about week 9 because there's the bye week and short weeks and everything like that. No, but what I mean is, I guess here's a concern for me because I have him. He was at 20th round keeper for me. I was sitting great until this happened, right? But now, if this offense moves forward for half a year without him, like, does that just direction they go? Like, he just becomes de-emphasized when he comes back, like Kupp's Kupp again, and like this is what he is now.
I think Kupp's Kupp again because I think people, even though Puka put up some insane stats and looked good, I think people really undervalued how good of an actual receiver Cooper Kupp was. Yeah. It's not just like some system where you throw out some receiver. Oh, Puka filled in for Kupp and he went. Listen, Puka's had some great stuff and and that offense is really trigger weight and he's taking advantage of it. That's good. But Cooper Kupp is an elite wide receiver and he got hurt and it kind of, because he's not your typical, 6'4" gazelle out there that people kind of just say, oh, well, it's Justin Jefferson, it's Jamar Chase, it's this guy, that guy. Cooper Kupp, I mean, what he did 2 years ago was insane. And there's only one comparison that was in Jerry Rice with the stats put up. That's because he's that talented. And I don't think you could just set and replace somebody. When Puka comes back, he's going to be a nice complimentary receiver. But to expect him to, and anybody even before the season, to expect him to duplicate what he did last year was insane. That's why I say that I targeted Kupp in late 3rd, early 4th, and pretty much any draft I could grab him in because the upside is much there than take a Puka in the early 3rd, late 2nd. It's just simple. And I think Puka is going to be a good receiver. He's going to have good games. They'll complement each other well, especially in shootouts. But it's just unrealistic to think that he's going to do that production. When he comes back, he'll be good. He'll be fine. You can get him in your lineup. I don't think there's any pressure with that. But the apex of that consistent numbers that he put up last year is just not present.
All right, let's We've got 10 minutes to get through 4 games. Let's try to get this done here. We talked about this game a little bit. Steelers are 1-0. Broncos are 0-1. Pittsburgh's laying 2.5 on the road. 36.5 is the low number of the day. Pittsburgh is 9-2 against rookie quarterbacks in 2017. Bo Nix was the first Denver rookie week 1 starter since John Elway. You may have heard of him in 1983. Steelers 2-0. I think that's the direction that we're going here. That's pretty impressive if you really think about it. Not necessarily because you're beating great teams, but they were. I feel they were left for dead in that division with everybody else that's in it.
They might well be. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, listen, they'll be 2-0, but doesn't
They
mean
kicked 6 field goals.
It doesn't mean that they can't finish the season with 4 wins. To be honest with you, I mean, you could see that. I mean, Anthony saw it firsthand. Having to watch Justin Fields and that kind of stuff. I mean, the defense is a little bit better than things he's had, but it's just not a good situation in Pittsburgh. I'm not a big Tomlin fan until a few years ago when he started winning with garbage can quarterbacks. So he's really showed me some. If that number was 3, maybe I'd take the Broncos. I just don't love anything that the Broncos do. I mean, I'm not a huge Bo Nix fan. I watched him play multiple spots in college, from Auburn to Oregon and everything like that. And he's okay. And the fact that the fact that he's a day 1 starter and Justin Fields, I mean, this is just an ugly game. Over under, I don't know if that's low
36.
enough. That might not be low enough. This has like a 10-9 game written all over it, to be honest with you. 14-6, something like that. If you're begging for props, I'll be looking at the Justin Fields rushing. Yeah.
But pick sixes can screw that up.
You're 100% right. It can. You're 100% right. It can. But
I just think
I'll take my chances.
You could see a repeat of last week what the Steelers defense did to Kirk Cousins. I think it's gonna be hard. For them to contain TJ Watt. I think he's going to be another game disruptor and tough for a rookie quarterback. So yeah, give me Pittsburgh on the road. I mean, I'm not touching this game to be honest, but if anything, yeah, give me Pittsburgh on the road.
We talked about this at the start. The 0-1 Bengals at the 1-0 Chiefs. Kansas City laying 6 on a hook, 48 the over-under. Burrow can become the first quarterback to win 4 games head-to-head against Mahomes, currently 3-1. For Kansas City, only Roger Staubach at 22-4 is a better career September record than Patrick Mahomes with 16-4, minimum of 10 starts. So
now you're getting it, Bri. A little Staubach reference.
There you go. Yeah.
Tony smile now. I knew you gotta get a smirk.
Thank you. All this talks about bad quarterback play. We finally get the best ever, the best Cowboys ever. Anyway,
I mean, are they going to blow the Bengals out? Like again, like it's like the Bengals to me. I had them winning the Super Bowl, so I mean, what the hell do I know?
They want to. I think they want to step on the neck of the Bengals, the Chiefs, early in the season here. I could see Andy Reid really trying to press it on. Joe Burrow, I just think he's the whole culture, the team, everything going on. I think it's really throwing the whole team off.
Even Burrow's a part of that, though. I think Burrow is.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, he comes back like he wants to be the reinvented Slim Shady Eminem thing, and I mean, I don't know. He looked more like Ryan Gosling in Barbie than he did Eminem. It's just weird. It is just weird. I mean, Joe Cool is definitely somebody who could feel himself. Maybe he's feeling himself a little bit, and that culture is just a bad thing, I think.
Yeah, I think today. I think I like the 6.5 of the Chiefs. I think they lay it on them. I think Patrick Mahomes is he knows he knows. And I think the Chiefs run it today.
And I can't see this game. I mean, this game normally should be a 51, 52-point game over under. This is 48 now. I think the Bengals might have real problems on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they doing with Jamar Chase? I mean, is he the Joel Embiid of the NFL where he's out of shape already? I mean, like the guy he's out there running routes. Burton from the kid from Alabama was taking the top off. It looked good in preseason and everything like that. He doesn't even get any run. They got this other guy out there.
They have no running game.
They can't run the ball.
Non-existent.
They don't have anybody to pass to. I mean, T. Higgins is MIA, and Jamar Chase is running at half speed. So, I mean, I don't know what they do. I think Isaiah Pacheco destroys this team today in Cincinnati. I think that he has a huge game. I think, take your pick, Rashee Rice, or Worthy, whatever you want to get on. I don't think that this Bengals team can keep pace with the Chiefs if the Chiefs are firing all cylinders. I don't believe there's any weather or anything like that, but give me the Chiefs. I might even lay 10 just to get some juicy odds.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Chiefs are out for blood. I really do.
If you could go back in time and make a draft pick for the Bengals, would you take Jamar Chase or Penny Sewell?
Penny Sewell. I said it then. I'll say it now.
Then I said it now too.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, how about Penny Sewell with T. Higgins? Now there isn't any question if you're paying T. Higgins.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow probably doesn't have at least one of those injuries.
Yeah.
Protect your investment. The Bears, Sunday Night Football, 1-0. But they're 6.5-point dogs in Houston tonight. I actually have Houston's my survivor pick. I might regret that. 45.5 is the number. Caleb Williams, a first overall pick to start and win week 1 since 1970. That's David Carr, John Elway, and Jim Plunkett. Stroud, the highest touchdown interception ratio since 2023, 25-5. This is your floor, Ant. Go ahead.
Oh, wow. We're still waiting for a touchdown to be scored, Brian. Listen, there's going to be ups and downs. If you're going to play a game like that and win, I'll take it. If you guys watched the game, I mean, I think Caleb was really inaccurate. Didn't have much time to throw. Offensive line did not play well. Simmons and the rookie Sweat that the Titans drafted kind of ruined that game. To their credit, they played well, but I'm looking for improvement tonight. I got to see some pocket presence. I got to see some accuracy in Caleb Williams' throws. I'm not concerned about the defense. They had a couple laps last week in the running game, little concerning, but I think they can fix that. Offensively, though, we definitely need to see more. I need to see a more confident quarterback back there, better offensive line blocking, and better running game. Watching Swift, I never really thought he was a 3-down back. I was kind of concerned about that and how they're using him. I really wanted to see more Herbert. A lot of situations last week where they were 3rd, 4th, and short, and they didn't get it because they have a light running back. And little concerned about that. It's going to be a tough one tonight. Their defense is going to have to keep it in them. I don't see them winning tonight. I would take Houston with the 6.5. I think it's going to be I think that Houston's just too much for them.
Yeah, and Stroud last week didn't have a great game either, but they still pulled it out. Concerns on I think all the concerns for the Bears are on the offensive side of the ball.
Sure.
Rome Odunze is going to play tonight, but he's banged up. Keenan Allen is banged up. No shocker there. No running game with Swift, not really getting it done. I don't know if it's a run blocking thing or just people just not worrying about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams looked inaccurate. Texans, on the other hand, they're a young team. They got weapons all over the place. Even with Mixon was a surprising factor in the game last week with running the ball all over. So I just think that the Texans, what they have on offense is really going to dismantle the Bears. I would lay this 6.5. I just don't think that they can keep. I could see this one not being close.
Me too.
And,
Me too.
Yeah, I have Houston and Survivor.
It's hard to be optimistic after what you saw last week. I can't come into the game thinking, hey, this is going to be a close game when the product you put on the field, you can't have trust in it. Right. So it's going to be an up and down year.
I just mentioned Keenan Allen. He is doubtful for tonight now.
Yeah. We get Keenan Allen when he's dead.
DJ Moore props, receptions.
Yeah.
That's what I'll be on.
Yep.
Last Monday night, we got a minute 52 before Red Zone kicks off. Falcons and the Eagles. Eagles laying 6, 46.5 is the number. This is the third consecutive year that Kirk Cousins will be in Philly playing prime time in week 2. Eagles 7-0 in September since 22. That's the longest September streak in team history. I am not expecting Saquon Barkley to hit a hat trick every week. We talked about Atlanta possibly going 0-2 today. They look like they're going to.
I hit that last week, by the way. 20 to win 600, 3 touchdowns for Saquon.
Did you? There you
go.
Just because I was playing him in fantasy against the guy who was talking shit. So
there you go.
Yeah, why not?
AJ Brown's out. So thoughts on this one?
Thoughts on this one? If it wasn't prime time, I'd kind of lean the Falcons because we know Kirk Cousins struggles in prime time, right? I would kind of lean the Falcons in that aspect. I still think I'm taking them with the 6. It's just tough. I think I don't know if the Eagles' offense is going to be explosive enough without AJ Brown to actually sit there and dominate it. And I think the Falcons will be a little bit more of a get right game, kind of a little bit early in the season for that. But I think that Cousins got the dust off them in Pittsburgh. This Eagles defense, even though Vic Fangio is trying to fire people all over the place to blitz the quarterback, I don't think that they have it where
they have no pass rush.
Yeah, where it needs to be. So I kind of lean into Falcons. I think that their offensive weapons and what they do, and be a problem for the Eagles. And it's very easy when you're up and you can run the ball and you have Saquon. You have to do something else now, and you're not going to have AJ Brown. And the Falcons got guys like AJ Turro who could cover and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'll take the Falcons. I'll take the points. I think B.J. Robinson actually has a nice game.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Falcons. I'm hoping maybe it goes up to maybe 6.5, maybe. The Eagles, like I said, they have really no pass rush. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to sit there, unlike last week where he had no time to do anything. I think it'll be you'll see more Drake London. You'll see more Pitts. I like Atlanta, but I like the over in this game. I think points are going to be scored. I think the Eagles will be able to get in the end zone against Atlanta, so I like the over here.
I mean, the Eagles will probably win the game. I mean,
they'll find a way.
No, that's what they. Yeah, I mean, this is their time of the year. When it gets later in the year, maybe not so much, but this is their time of the year right now. We're at right at 101. We got you right there. We got all the games in.
All right.
So hopefully it's a nice, profitable Sunday for everyone. We'll see you all next week. Good luck to you all.
All right, boys. Good luck.
All right. Take care, gentlemen.